Heck of a setup.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. Like, I went back and watched like the first few episodes, and there was nothing on my walls except for these three here. Those came like basically with the room. So I moved in here. A guy that lived here before, his name's Richie. He's an artist. He doesn't do it often. He's like, I don't do it. I just kind of, whenever I feel like something, I just kind of do it. Yeah. And he made those three pieces. I'm like, dude, can I have those? I'm just gonna leave them on the wall in remembrance of you.
Yeah, man.
This is an old room. You know, it's like a ghost of his past.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And then just all these show shit, and then I got my goofy stuff. Like I got the rum ham, Danny.
Oh, hell yeah, of course, Danny.
And then my buddy Travis, he's got a song called "Going to Jail Soon," and that's his mugshot.
Hell yeah.
He's doing good now, man. He actually my boy right there just got out of rehab, and he's doing great right now.
Oh, good,
so
man.
That's fucking awesome. That picture like speaks volumes to me now.
Yeah, of course.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll do a little countdown. We'll rock it.
All right, man.
And a 3, 2. You talking to me? I'm talking to you, and this is talking to me, talking to you. And I am joined by Chris Siemer.
How's it going, man?
How you doing, man? Thank you seriously for doing
No problem.
this.
I appreciate it.
And it's awesome to get here. It's like I told you, you're the first stand-up comedian that I've ever had on the show.
Well, proud to be it.
But you, man, so I met you at an open mic of all things.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The little hometown bar open mic.
Right, yeah, I forgot about that.
You showed up there, man, and mostly it's like a musician thing. And,
Yeah.
And you came in, and then I think, in my opinion, you killed it. It was a little bit of an older crowd, so some
Sure.
You
Well,
know,
I mean,
they were laughing though. It was
they were
great.
even older than me, so
Yeah, no, it was quite funny to see that kind of, because comedy's always kind of got the shtick of like, I mean, it's hard to go up there and tell jokes.
oh shit, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's definitely. I have a lot of musicians on, and one of the last few podcasts I talked about like the difference of like, it's like, you can get, like when you tell a joke, you got a little guitar playing, and then if you bomb it, it's like no big deal. You're about to play a song.
Just play it right off.
Song.
Yeah.
Well, but you're there, you're just like, and it's such a different weird thing. Like with comedians, like, so I've seen two of your sets. I've seen it at the open mic, which is, to you, it felt like kind of just like you're trying new stuff out. You're just kind of freshening up on some material you're writing. And then at Hi-Fi, which you did a featured act. And that was also open mic, but that was purely a comedy open mic.
There was an open mic afterwards. Yeah,
afterwards.
The first part of it was a booked show.
Yeah. So it was there was four.
But yes, all
right?
comedy.
Yeah, which is, for me, kind of crazy. Like, I'm involved in the music world, and and I see a lot of that, obviously.
Sure.
But I've never like been to a comedy show until that Hi-Fi open mic. So like,
I'll never at a club or anything.
no, none of that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, so
well,
it
wow.
was really cool for me. It was a cool
Okay.
experience. I went on a date. It was a double date with Noah and Candace, and then me and my girl, and just laughed at some jokes. I think I got up there and did a joke. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, did you read one of them?
Yeah, I think. What was that guy's name? Who
Jack
runs
was
it?
probably hosting it.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah,
he moved away. He's up in Chicago.
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He was a cool guy, man.
Yeah.
I like talking to him.
Yeah, he's a funny cat.
But it was really cool to see that. Like, I think there was some like 18 people.
Something like that. Yeah, there must have been 18 on the open mic list,
yeah.
and then before that was probably 5 or 6 comics.
And not many, in my opinion, like, quote unquote bombed or none of that. Like, dude, it was all good, which is, to me, I mean, never experienced that. Surprising, like, it just kind of hit me like, wow, Cincinnati has like a deep pool of comics. So if you could like think, like, who's some of your favorite casts in the city?
Yeah, it's getting bigger all the time. I've been doing it 10 years now. So when I started, there were fewer people doing it, and certainly fewer people doing it at a high level. Now there's so many of us that are doing it real well. Like Lee Kimbrell, Rand Barnacle, Andrew Rudick. These guys are all working really hard in the city and getting a lot. Kelly Collette, Gabe Kia. I mean, Gabe opened for Dave Chappelle a couple times. Yeah, so I mean that's not nothing.
No, that's
Kelly's been
that's
on
a big
tour.
something.
Oh yeah, man. And then Rand and Lee and Andrew, they're all out headlining clubs as well, all throughout the Midwest, and Rand's been opening for Chad Daniels on the road as well. So big names involved.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. It's much wider than I was known to. Like it's really cool to see, man. Like the city, like a lot of people talk about like the underbelly of the city and the art of the city, and like it doesn't get talked much about. And like I feel like comedy is definitely on
It's
that
getting
stride.
there.
It's getting bigger. I mean,
more people are talking about it now.
Yeah, what do you think that is? Like
same for the music scene, I do believe.
Yeah, no, it is. It's strange.
Arts as a whole in Cincinnati is starting to get seemingly some community investment. I think the younger that people are in charge of things, the more of this stuff we're going to have. So like the Blink Festival we just had that the city took over. So that's cool. I mean, there's a lot of just really cool stuff going on in the city, and there's a lot of stand-up. I hardly get to make it out to see any music anymore because there's always stand-up shows that I'm at.
Yeah, and you being in that scene, obviously, that's you gotta be there for.
Oh
that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
you want to be.
Yeah, for sure, because it's same as the music community. That's a community in itself. You guys are all mingling, getting shows together, doing that, maybe writing jokes together, sorts like that. So, what's your process for like coming up with a joke, like setting things up? I noticed that you're kind of like you run kind of free up there a little bit. Like definitely your openings, you open up like real like you kind of read a room a little bit. So like, how do you kind of come up with a joke?
I mean, most of my stuff is mostly stories.
Yeah.
So there's very few things that I have that are just like set up punchline joke. It's mostly stories that are punched up and jazzed up to some degree. I mean, most of it's pretty honest, unfortunately. So, I typically just go out and live and try and report it back. I think
observe, report.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what our job is supposed to be on paper. But I can tell you that and now doing it 10 years, I can tell that I've been drinking too much because like. Everything has a certain vein. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have to hold throttle back on this shit. And
did I take that too far?
maybe feel the life a little bit.
No, yeah, well, and working like different crowds, like you get like some stuff would land and some stuff wouldn't. Like
Oh shit, yeah.
I seen you saying I went and looked up some stuff. I seen you like I made this one joke up in Dayton and I had to get escorted out of there.
There's some things. I mean, man, people are gonna get offended, and nowadays it seems like people are trying to
make
look to be offended. Yeah. But who gives a fuck?
No,
man?
You gotta, especially as a comedian and actors and people of like film and music. Like you can't. Jamie Foxx said it best. You can't cut our throats because you have to let us be artists because we're trying to convey feeling and emotion. We're trying to get you to react to something, and if you take away all of, like the things that make you feel then that takes away half of the.
Everybody seems so goddamn entitled to their fucking feelings these days. Oh, I should have asked if there was any language restrictions.
Oh, absolutely not. Fuck no. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
But everybody feels so entitled to their feelings around things to be paramount, and fuck that noise.
Yeah.
Get challenged. And also, news fucking flash, if you don't like the joke, don't laugh.
100%.
You don't need to stand up and shout and make yourself look like a fucking asshole, and that's all.
No one's there to see you talk.
No, man, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of times just people just get a little drunk and they start talking. They're not thinking, or they can't tell if they're talking too loudly at their table because if there's only one person talking, they got a microphone. The one thing they can hear is you fucking talking. So that happens a lot. But then like nowadays you see like people are getting attacked on the stage for saying something that, I mean, if you're not going in at someone, calling someone, people are doing it because their views are being challenged, politically or otherwise, mostly politically, or religious, whatever. So if your views are challenged and you don't like it, that joke's not for you.
And just don't.
Guess
be
what?
in the
There's
room.
another one coming.
Yeah.
And if this guy's full of them, maybe it's time for you to take a leak. You know what I mean?
Go to
come
the
back in a little
bathroom,
while. Right. Have a smoke. Come back.
Whichever bathroom, man. Don't matter.
Exactly.
I got some jokes.
Exactly.
But no, yeah, and no, I 100% agree with that because especially in that sentiment, I mean, offensive comedy is in fact my favorite type of. I love Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I love Jim Jeffries. I love me some Joe Rogan. All those guys like hit a nerve on purpose. For me it kind of opens up like making jokes about things like that, and is the way to kind of like open dialogue about it.
Yeah,
like I've had jokes said that I've heard comedians say now that I like talk to my friend like, yo, that's a real. What's up with that? That's kind of weird because like you said, it's observe and report. Then when someone else sees it, they go, wow, that's a strange.
Well, you can tell when someone's being hateful in their joke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, or. I don't know. People have different opinions about that too, so I can't really speak to whatever anybody thinks about like that because people are talking about Dave again right now a lot because he was just on SNL. Whatever, man. You know, he's a funny comic.
Yeah,
that's all I.
When he's hitting the touchiest of subjects, you know.
Sure,
for what people would say is touchy,
right?
know?
I mean, that's what's going.
But
that's what's going on. That's the climate right now. So that's. I mean, you kind of look to your favorite comics to sort of chime in at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, all he's doing is showing you from his lens. Sorry if you don't like it. Stop listening. But I don't think it's. I don't think he's in any way hateful. I don't know, man. Now everybody who listens here is gonna be like, "Bitch, Chris doesn't know what he's fucking talking about."
Well, they maybe just not be fans of comedy.
I mean, man. It's.
I know a lot of people that like.
Comedy's not for everybody. Yeah, it's all subjective too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and for me, man, I grew up on Family Guy, South Park. All those kind of
made on offending, pushing the envelope,
hard, and it was all for the sake of being funny. And some people just didn't grow up with that kind of light shined on a humorous scale.
Sure, absolutely right. And you couldn't. I mean, whatever you think about South Park, you could never say that the writing's not brilliant.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's always been. So maybe some of the jokes don't necessarily age well. But shit, not everyone does, I mean, that came on when I was in high school.
Well, you can look at, talking about comedy, you can look at, what's his name? Lenny Bruce. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, if you listen to his jokes now, I mean, they're very vulgaric and very straightforward, but they're, in essence, the joke.
From the 50s.
And he's also making points with them, So, like, that's the whole subjectiveness of what I feel like comedy is it's like you're kind of pointing out the funniness of human existence.
Hypocrisies, things of that nature, of course.
Yeah, I mean, George Carlin, another one. Like
Carlin was one of the best. I mean, for some reason, like a couple of months ago, I went through they had put a documentary out about him on HBO, and I went back watching a bunch of old interviews of him, and just, man, the guy was so smart.
Oh,
so smart. And he predicted a lot of shit that we're going through now.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, and what's so cool to see is like his development from like the 70s to, right before he died was like, you just seen him like getting more bitter in his comedy.
Sure.
And it made it better. Like him being a pissed off old man made his comedy so much more like invigorating.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that for like stand up, you kind of have to have something button up against you as resistance. Like if everything's going well,
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah,
it's hard to. I mean,
you gotta have some bite back.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't be comfortable in those situations. I feel like the nervousness of like standing up and talking in front. I mean, dude, doing a speech is in similar essence. I feel like the goal is that in a speech, like you're trying to make people clap and laugh.
You're trying to make them think what you want them to think.
Yeah,
I mean that in most every speech, unless it's just informative. But yeah. I mean, comedy is. It's not open to interpretation. You know what I mean? I want you to think what I want you to think by the time we get to the end.
It's on the head, man, and that's what's of all things, like, because it's an art. It's so crazy. It's not poetry. It's not performing arts, but it's an essence of spoken word in a comedic sense to bring joy and laughter, or even just like thinking outside of your box on a perspective.
Right.
Like a lot of comedians have made me think, like George Carlin makes me think outside of like what the mass belief is on how this thing works,
Right.
Like, yeah, he talks about putting 4 states together and having the worst people put in them and then like, having a little fun show on Fox. Yeah. And Budweiser's going to be the sponsor.
Yeah, of course.
Making those funninesses, but also like, here are the real problems of the world. It's such a contrast thing, but it's beautiful in essence.
I mean, you won't see any of that shit at my show.
No.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of jizz and a lot of that.
And that's Bob Saget. That was
man. That's my stuff is more along the lines of a Bob Saget. I mean, I don't in no way can compare myself to Bob. Not at all.
Yeah, of course.
But it has some filth to it, some genuine filth.
Oh, I remember hearing it. I was bartending at that open mic, and dude, it was just you were letting it go, and I was like, "Woo!"
Thanks, I
Just
appreciate
clapping.
that. I appreciate that.
You know, the only place you hear that kind of stuff is the conversations between you and your buddies, you know? And
Yeah.
like to hear it spoken out loud to a public forum and then people laugh. It's just like, this is the conversations we're all having with our buddies.
Yeah, I mean, correct. I mean, and that's really, and I always say this too, like stand-up comedy to me is best when it's like, as an audience member, it feels like a two-way conversation. It just hasn't been your turn to talk yet.
And that's why I feel like people end up wanting to say stuff at comedy shows.
Sure. Well, this goddamn internet with everybody these heckler videos.
You think the comment section's there in real life,
Everybody
but it's
at
not.
home's like, I could get his ass. So then everybody wants to go to the club with a fucking zinger in their pocket.
Yeah, well, then you run into a guy, Andrew Schultz, and get roasted off your ass.
Schultz is fantastic.
I never realized, so I've seen a lot of bits from him, but I never realized that he was a 100% crowd reader. Like he just does crowd jokes for most. He'll hit topics kind of.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's got prepared material too, but
he's
very equipped.
Yeah, it blew my mind of like, because that kind of thing is, unless you're planting people, I mean, it's hard to just get something and then make jokes and just roll.
Absolutely is.
You know, so it's just, I love that, just the roast. And I've seen many heckler videos, and it's always good to see
Of course
the
you
heckler
have,
get put in
because
place.
there's so many fucking people putting them
I
out
don't know
now.
why. I don't understand. My understanding of a comedy show is you're there to laugh and shut the fuck up. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Man, we
If you
need
keep
more. The world
laughing-
needs more of you, brother.
If you, I mean, I might get a whisper in. A whisper's cool here and there, but like, do not talk out loud.
Shouting back to the comic,
Yeah.
providing your input.
Yeah, unless
you're spoken to, do not speak.
Yeah.
That's the best way. I've always said like a comedy show or a good comedy show is like a really great first date between people. Because you go, you have a couple of drinks, you get a little loosey goosey, and then the lights go out and you got to shut the fuck up for an hour and a half, and then you get to see what your date is laughing at, right? And, and you're not forced to have small talk. It's a really great relief.
It is.
And then you keep drinking.
Until
until the show's over, and then they turn the lights on. And you're like, "What do you think about the anal bit, huh?
What'd you think about that one?
What do you think about that? I saw you grinning, huh? I'm not saying it's a first date sort of thing, but eventually.
So that's the thing too. Is like those two times I did see you, I recognized that you didn't use any of the same jokes within that. So I mean, you've been doing it for 10 years now.
Yeah.
What would you say your catalog is? Like,
Oh,
are you doing jokes from 10 years ago still? Or are
No,
you continuously just working on new stuff?
I'm sure that there's stuff in there from probably 8 years ago, though. I mean, it's these jokes grow over time.
Mm-hmm.
So what is now a 5 to 7 minute chunk may have started 8 years ago with a single line.
Okay.
Or a phrase, So then everything kind of morphs around that. Stories get bigger. Other shit comes in as connective tissue to other things. And then these couple chunks are now full on, routine. I mean, I headline shows as well. When I headline, that's at least a 45-minute set. I think the last one I did in Chillicothe was closer to an hour. It's like 55 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
It's a long time to be standing up there just talking.
No, yeah, for sure.
But, you take a drink with you.
Yeah, that's my favorite, like Jim Jeffries. But that guy's always had a beer, and he'd hide like three in different spots on stage. And just grab them.
Great bit. Great bit.
I love it, man. And that's the funniness of it. It's just like finding quirky little things to bring on to stage. Use like when Joe Rogan jumped on his chair for a prop, and he was like some sort of demon over
yeah.
For Bruce.
Yeah,
Jenner.
use anything you got up there.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people hump the stool. I don't do that. There's stuff you can do with the microphone as well.
Always when you make a dick sounds.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not a prop comic, and I don't know anyone that really is, but there's stuff you can do with chairs and all. Like there's stools up there all the time.
Yeah, no, you're right though. Now you think about it, like even though most comics aren't like prop comics, they still like kind of prop things in a weird
you
way.
use everything within your space.
Yeah. Like, I never was really into prop comedy, but I love me some Carrot Top. That dude's hilarious, bro.
I mean,
corny,
look,
yet elegant.
I can't even say it is corny because it's smart. I mean, and there's
smart.
no one that can argue with that. The guy is much more successful than I'm going to be. You know what I mean? He's got a own show in Vegas.
Just yeah, dude.
Has had
I'm gonna see that show one day. I'm gonna be there.
I wouldn't be. I would be willing to go see that.
Yeah,
that might be one that I actually pay for. I don't. I'm able to get into most shows around town.
Well, because you got to think about it too. It's like it's not his big show anymore on the road with this giant semi full of props. It's just his little residency he does every day. So he's just like getting up there having fun, just living his life out.
And you don't see much of him anymore, so
no,
I'm interested in seeing that.
I think he came on Joe Rogan a few months back, and that's all I got back into him because I seen that, and I'm like, oh wow, Carrot Top's a really cool guy. Why he does some cool stuff?
He is interesting.
Yeah,
I should look that up. I didn't know he was on there. Okay.
Yeah, so dude. I mean, like, such an interesting dude. I mean, his hair is crazy as fuck.
Yeah, it is
crazy as fuck.
I think he's had some work done on the face too.
Prop comic, works out. Like,
he's like buff. Yoked.
Yeah, yoked. Yeah. Like,
he's a big
I didn't
boy.
know that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the like what ironic see like just in his caricature. It's comedy's a beautiful thing, man. It's that art that like people don't really it's art, but it's like weirdly like there's the music.
You don't realize it is because when you're looking at it, it's effortless if it's done well
to the eyes of the viewer.
You can see it doesn't really seem like it
Everybody
takes all
thinks
that
they
much.
Could be a comic.
That's why everyone thinks they can be a comic,
Yeah.
and that's why a lot of open mics, aren't going to be so good.
It's hard, dude, and
everybody wants to be, like pushing the envelope. So everyone that's new, they always got some hot take on why rape is funny or some shit like that. It's like, come on, man.
Well, that's the thing,
We're getting
man.
better about it.
And that's what's cool, though, man. It's like that kind of insight, though. Like, everyone wants to be a comic. It's like, well, get up there and do it, bud. And see if you want to do it. And if you want to do it, keep getting up there and doing it. Because guess what? You're going to be on fire every time you go on that stage.
Yeah,
until you get good at it. And then, maybe we get a good comedian out of it.
That's right.
We need more good comedians, I think.
Now there's a trend where people lose their fantasy football leagues. They got to go do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy.
Oh.
And it's...
Really?
Yeah, and it always when I used to run an open mic, and it was always kind of great because they'd bring all these people, right? And I would like, all right, we're gonna put you up in just a couple minutes. I'd fucking bump them all the way to the back end of all the way to the bottom, bro.
And just nail a couple.
Yeah, because I know as soon as you get up there, you're gonna leave, and all your people are gonna go with you.
Yeah.
Well, we got a bunch of comics in here that we do this
every
all
week,
the time.
Yeah.
And your
Let's get a show going now.
Your punishment is our dream. Yeah, exactly right. Like, and also, I said this too. Is like, do you think I was gonna make this easy for you so you just come in here and knock it out? No, man. Part of the fucking part of it being a loser is you're gonna have to sit there and wait, and just get hot and just what I mean.
And that's the fun of comedy in the culture of the community. Is it's a poke fun community. You gotta kind of like,
a little bit.
Hey man, if you're gonna dish it, you better be able to take that.
Oh yeah, man.
And
they don't tend to come back.
It's fun, man. It's it grows you as a human in a way. Like you gotta be able to take that fire, man. Like it builds that confidence. So the next time you get on stage, like man, you just got roasted by all these comics.
Man.
Because you said this joke, and they're like, what the fuck? and so now next time you're gonna be like. Even better.
Right.
You're just building up that iron.
Well, they typically don't do it more than once. I just did a show at the Funny Bone where it was called Last Realtor Standing. So this group of realtors were going to do comedy. They all do 5 minutes. And I paired them up with a comedian. So the realtor group reached out to me because I'd done it a couple times. So I found the comics, paired them up with a realtor. That was their coach to kind of talk to them about it. And then I hosted the thing and then closed it out at the end. And, man, them fucking people can drink. Let me just tell you. Those fucking people really get lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, everyone was just hammered by the time the show started. Not the performers necessarily. I mean the audience.
I didn't think it was a performance either.
And the performer, I mean... I don't think they're going to do it again. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
Because most of them were just, they're just nervous.
No, yeah, it's really it's one of the weirdest like mental blocks us human beings have is getting up in front of a bunch of people and talking.
Sure.
Like think like the way that you act at home with the people around you. Then too, you put yourself in a public space. You're not even publicly speaking, but you're just in a public space.
Already
completely different.
Yep.
And then you put yourself in front of all those people. Now they're looking at you. And they're paying attention to you.
Even more guarded.
Weird, man. It's such a weird constraint on our
You'll find
mind.
that people who are good at stand-up and have been good at stand-up probably that were never any different from that
From
whole
that, the
person.
whole time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people like me. Like I've always been wild and said whatever the fuck was on my mind, which is like not great. Not great, man.
It gets some sticky situations.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the comedy.
Exactly.
The comedy
Exactly. But I've always said whatever I thought was funny anywhere, and with little regard for those around me. Which again, not exactly like. It's more of a personality flaw than it is a trait, an attribute.
But you worked that into the perfect way to work.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've been able to kind of put a sail around that.
It's like, oh, you don't like what I say? Well, here, I'm just going to get on stage and say it.
Yeah. And now it's funny, isn't it?
Now it's funny.
Yeah, when I said this at Thanksgiving, you all thought I was worth shit. And now, when a room full of people hear it together, this guy's got something. Yeah, I mean, 10 years of doing this, I've been a lot of places.
What would you say has been like your most memorable show, like best show in your mind?
Oh man, I mean, it's hard to say because I've got a lot of really great shows with really great people. I mean, I would say something that I'm real proud of is, I mean, I did this has been several years back. I did a show at the theater in Georgetown. Like above the police station down
Georgetown, right down
there? Yeah, right here in Ohio.
No way.
Yeah, it was, I think, 2018 maybe, 17. It's been a while back. But I headlined that one, did an hour.
Yeah, I know.
I think we had like 300 people in there that night.
Yeah, it fits a decent amount. I know theater you're talking about. That's really cool, man.
That's pretty, I mean, that's cool because like I did theater there when I was in like high school, man. I think I was in the Pirates of Penzance. You know what I mean? And I was in we had a haunted house there as well.
No way.
Yeah, that I was in. So like I've been around this. So like to do that here was really, really cool. I mean, the biggest show I've ever done is probably when I opened for Cat Williams down at the Heritage Bank.
No shit.
Well, it was it didn't go particularly well. That's the only time I've ever been booed, but it was everybody in the damn Coliseum. You know what I mean?
No way.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's probably 5,000 people in there. I watched Hulk Hogan wrestle there when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So that was wild.
Yeah. So was that just? Was it towards the beginning of the set or towards the end, or did?
Oh, it was.
Was it going good and then kind of?
It was toward the beginning, but it was definitely the end. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I was supposed to do 15 minutes, and they started booing at 5 minutes, and I was like, I'm not fucking staying around for this. The whole goddamn place is going to erupt, and they were. But it was, I should never have been in that position. I wasn't. I mean, they wanted someone to go up there and get booed. It's fine. I was happy to do it. I got paid handsomely for it.
Hey, that's wow.
I mean, and I'm not saying like Cat wanted to get someone to go up there and eat shit. It wasn't that. Like the year before that, Cat had gotten booed in Cincinnati, and he's from here. But he was on his game that night, and the man couldn't have been more kind to me before the show. He was very nice, and he was just very dialed in. Whatever you think about Cat, I mean, I saw a fucking pro that night. But yeah, they for sure want those people wanted to boo somebody.
Yeah,
because that Cat's audience is like that. That's like an Apollo style show. If you ain't shit, they're gonna let you know. And I was doing very, very well. At that time, I was on the come up, but I was 2.5 years in, maybe.
Yeah,
I was nowhere rear ready for that shit. I mean,
5,000 people. Yeah,
brah, I hadn't even opened up at the comedy clubs yet for anybody, so I'd never even been on a weekend show at Go Bananas.
What a great experience, though.
To
get a nice little boo from 5,000 people.
It was supposed to happen at some point. I was always bound to get booed at some point. I figured it might as well be goddamn 5,000 fucking people in my city.
Well, you know the Philly story, right? The Bill Burr Philly story?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Of course.
He had 15 minutes. That's all he had. He's like, I'm going to be having a fucking time.
I was, they booed me off at 5, and I was like, yeah, see ya. I left. I didn't just leave the stage. I left the stadium while Cat was on stage. Shit, I left the state, bro. I went across the river. I'm not shitting you. I went to Latonia, Kentucky, and got on stage again at a second show. Did pretty well there.
Hey, dude, that's
while Cat was on stage.
That's a hell of a story, dude. That's amazing.
I mean, because like, it's not like
you're grinding it, man.
If that happened today, there's more ego.
5,000 people, man. I'm gonna go bomb a comedy show.
It was always gonna happen,
whatever. Who cares?
But I don't want it to happen again. I'll tell you that shit.
Fuck yeah. I mean, no, you never do. But it's the coming out of that fire with fire under you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Like you went from all those boos, 5,000 people, whatever, to a room full of maybe 100 people.
No, 9.
9?
No, yeah.
At least they're there laughing and clapping.
Yeah, that's been pretty good.
Life is about the journey, and sometimes the journey gets a little wild.
Sure, man.
And to find
if you're doing it
a
right.
peace in all of it, dude, it really is cool, man. I mean,
that to someone that had a bigger ego at the time, because I'm sure my ego's bigger now. I mean, it would crush me.
It gets bigger.
That shit, if that shit would crush me now. I figured at that point, I figured it was supposed to happen at some point or another. And I mean, I've gotten to tell that story on Kid Chris morning show on WABN with local radio. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
so. I mean, that was 8 years ago.
That's so
It
cool.
was a long time.
It is, but that's part of that's a chapter of your first stride in comedy, and then and you're still here all these years later after something like that, and that brought opportunity. Like you got to go tell that story because you took the opportunity,
absolutely,
and do that and be in front. Dude, hey, listen, there may have been 5,000 people booing, but there were definitely some people there that thought you're hilarious.
Some,
and they went home and they looked you up.
It's funny that you say that because one person did.
Yeah.
Don't remember her name, obviously, or anything like that, or who it was. But one person, no bullshit, that I did not know me, found me on Facebook, sent me a message to sort of say, you didn't deserve all that. Keep at it. And it was just like, man, that's fucking mind blowing.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah. Because if someone had done the opposite and been like, just to let you know, boo, motherfucker. You know what I mean? I might have been a little more messed up in the head about it. But I thought that was very kind, and it's funny. I didn't even you forget about things like that, but that I definitely got a message of encouragement, and that was cool.
Yeah, man, and that's all you need. Like I tell people all the time, doing this, like I don't get a enormous amount of views or nothing for it, but like people see it and they come and talk to me, and it's people that mean a lot to me, like people that I'm fans of, like artists that I like sure. Just talking to people like you, the opportunity just to do that kind of shit is. Yeah, man. It's a blessing, man. And then like to have those conversations just by doing your thing. Like, hey man,
absolutely,
I like what you're doing. Keep doing it.
No one would be having this conversation just because I'm good at Call of Duty. I mean, you know what I mean? Well,
you get now.
Yeah,
they got esports for it now.
Yeah,
bro.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, okay. Shit, you're right. You're right.
It's coming.
I'm 40. I'm aged out of that shit, man. I'm aged out of that league.
I'm 26 and I'm lost, bro. I didn't even know. I'm like, wait, they're filling stadiums up to watch these kids play games.
Wild.
Well, man, it's crazy. The world's crazy.
Sure.
But it's all right. It's good to be nutty in a crazy world.
That's right, man.
Chris, dude, thank you so much.
Thanks,
for your
man.
Time, man.
I appreciate you having me. I appreciate it, man.
No, I really do. It's been cool seeing you perform and getting to know you, man. And yeah, it's been great.
I got shows all around the city all the time. Please come out and see me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to run some shows semi-regularly at Dead Low Brewing down the east side of Cincinnati, there around Kellogg. So we got good shows going on there. Got one this Friday, but maybe be there. We might be there doing something on New Year's as well.
Okay, yeah. I'll work in on New Year's Day. That'll be fun.
On,
I'd love to do that.
Hell yeah, man.
Appreciate you, Chris.
Hell yeah,
appreciate
man.
you, man.
Thank you.
This has been Talking to You. Thanks for watching.